What if the airport rules you followed your whole life suddenly stop working in 2026? And one small mistake costs you your flight, your money, or even your right to travel? That question sounds dramatic, I know. But as someone who has worked as a professional travel planner, an airport security consultant, and someone who's seen behind the curtain of airline operations, I can tell you this: 2026 is quietly shaping up to be one of the biggest turning points in modern air travel. And most travelers, experienced, confident travelers, are the least prepared for what's coming. Because these 17 new airport rules aren't being announced with big headlines or warning signs. They're slipping in slowly through policy updates, technology upgrades, and security protocols that airlines and airports don't fully explain until you're already standing at the counter, wondering why your boarding pass won't scan, why your bag is flagged, or why an officer suddenly wants to pull you aside for additional screening. And it all starts with identity, because biometric verification is expanding fast. Meaning, in many major airports, your face will officially become your boarding pass, your passport, and your ID all at once. But here's the shocker: your face scan doesn't perfectly match the airline system due to lighting, aging, recent surgery, weight change, or even a new hairstyle. You may be delayed or denied boarding without the old backup options we're used to. And unlike today, manual overrides will be limited because airlines are under pressure to reduce human error. Which sounds good on paper, but feels terrifying when the system says no and the staff can't fix it. And then there's carry-on enforcement, which is getting brutally strict because in 2026, many airports will roll out automated bin sizing at security and boarding gates. Meaning your bag won't be kind of okay anymore. It either fits or it doesn't. And if it doesn't, the fee won't be negotiated. It will be automatically charged to the card on file. No argument, no warning, just a beep and a charge. And while travelers argue about bags, airlines are quietly changing ticket flexibility rules too, because basic economy is being redefined. Not just as no changes, but as conditional travel, where missing a check-in window by even a few minutes, failing a document scan, or triggering a security delay could void your ticket entirely. And yes, that includes delays caused by security itself, which feels unfair but is already written into updated contracts of carriage. And security rules are tightening in strange new ways because AI-based behavior monitoring is expanding, meaning cameras are not just watching for threats. They're analyzing patterns: how you walk, how often you look around, how you handle documents, and if your behavior doesn't match the expected baseline for that airport. That day, that time, you could be flagged as high friction, not dangerous, just inconvenient, which means more screening, more questions, more missed connections, and travelers who think I've flown for 30 years. I know how this works are often the ones caught off guard, because experience doesn't always match algorithm expectations. And then there's payment verification, a rule most people don't see coming, where airlines in duty-free areas increasingly require the card used to book the ticket to be physically present, even for prepaid services, to reduce fraud, which becomes a nightmare for families, seniors, or anyone whose ticket was booked by someone else. And speaking of seniors, mobility assistance rules are changing too, because airports are cracking down on misuse of wheelchair services, so eligibility verification is becoming stricter. And requesting assistance without documented need may lead to delays or denial, which hurts people who genuinely need help but didn't know they had to prepare proof. And if you think liquids rules are done evolving, think again. Because smart scanners are allowing larger liquids in some airports, but banning common items in others, creating a confusing patchwork where what's allowed on your outbound flight may be confiscated on your return, and travelers will be held responsible for knowing the difference, not the airport. And then there's the quiet rule about arrival behavior. Because in 2026, some countries will begin penalizing passengers for non-compliance after landing, including using phones too early, standing before permitted, or ignoring crew instructions, with fines linked directly to your passport profile, not just a warning. And one of the most shocking changes involves connections, because minimum connection times are being recalculated by AI in real time, meaning your ticketed connection might suddenly be deemed unviable, and you could be rebooked automatically without consent, sometimes to a later flight or even the next day. And if you booked separate tickets, the system may not protect you at all. And let's talk about dress and appearance. Something people laugh at, but security profiling still considers it. And new guidelines emphasize concealment risk and identity clarity, meaning excessive face coverings, reflective eyewear, or clothing that interferes with scans may trigger secondary screening more often than before. And while no one will say it publicly, appearance-based friction is increasing. And then there's the rule nobody expects silent blacklisting for repeated minor violations, like ignoring boarding group order, arguing with staff, or bypassing instructions, because airlines are sharing internal behavior scores more than ever. And while it won't ban you from flying, it can downgrade your service priority without telling you, leading to more seat changes, fewer upgrades, and less flexibility. And finally, the biggest shock of all is accountability shifting to the traveler. Because in 2026, the official stance becomes you are responsible for system readiness, meaning knowing the rules. Verifying compatibility and preparing documents is on you, not the airline, not the airport, not security. And when something goes wrong, the default answer will increasingly be policy was followed, even when it feels like common sense wasn't. So if you're watching this on Golden Age Travel Tips, here's my honest suggestion. As a travel planner and airport insider, slow down your travel days. Arrive earlier than you think you need to. Standardize your bags and documents. Avoid last-minute changes. Dress for clarity, not comfort alone. Keep backups of everything, both digital and physical. Stay calm, even when systems fail. And most importantly, treat airports like controlled environments, not casual spaces. Because the travelers who adapt early, quietly, and intelligently will move through 2026 smoothly, while everyone else will be left wondering when flying became so complicated.